Yeah, she's got some nice long hair. And
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Joining me, as always, on the live shows, Mr. Johnny PayPal. PayPal, happy award ceremony. I told you to suit up. Clearly,
Yeah. Hey, I got a collar on. I got a collar on, Brad.
explain yourself, because I look like a total buffoon, as for those that are listening to it, wearing a suit, a bow tie, the whole shebang. I got some scotch right next to me, so I look extra fancy for this award show. What did you do to dress up for today's
Hey,
show?
Brad, you told me to dress fancy. I mean, I was gonna put my PJs on. I was done with work and everything. And normally on the show, I usually have like a sweatshirt or something. So I stepped it up. I brought my quarter zip pullover, and I instead of you brought scotch, I brought ice cream. So normally I don't have ice cream. So I
Wow.
feel like we all have our different levels of fanciness, Brad, and hey, I'm getting this. I gotta loosen up this collar. I gotta pull up the zipper a little bit. You
Yeah.
know.
I need to loosen this collar up too. It's strangling me right now. So if my throat goes, we know why. But the reason why we are dressed up today is because it is the second annual award show, Unbearable Awards out here. So we are giving out awards to all of the players of the Chicago Bears, or actually just some of them. So some of the awards were given out: Most Improved, Rookie of the Year, the most under the radar, disappointing offensive MVP, defensive MVP, and our favorite player. That is the ultimate that we will be going through. So those out in YouTube and out in the comments, I'm excited to hear from everybody what their thoughts are, because this is one of my favorite shows. I love
yeah.
going through this,
I agree.
giving out these awards, and also talking about what my predictions were at the preseason. PayPal wasn't with us in the preseason, so you didn't have any out there. So I'm going to revisit some of mine. Some of them are good, and I can tell you some of them are bad.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, Brad. You showed me a picture of it before, so I can't. And it's not like you were like. I mean, obviously, it's wrong thinking about it now, but like at the time, it was like, oh, that's a great pick, right?
Yeah.
That's a great way of thinking. But
And I wish I added a soundbite, because it is now time for the, like I said, the second annual Unbearable Awards for the Chicago Bears. Let's go with our first award. Our first award goes to the most improved player of the 2022 Chicago
ooh.
Bears. I really do feel like I need some background music for this.
Yeah, I need some like lights too or something in our rooms that those party lights, the strobe
Goes
or
off.
something.
Yeah, something like that. So the most improved player of the 2022 Chicago Bears, the player that was the most improved from the 2021 season to the 2022 season. So what did I say for my preseason prediction? I went chalk and went Justin Fields. I went with the easy one, because at that time we didn't know what we were going to expect. Some rumors were that he wouldn't be the most improved. He might be taking a step back. But for this, PayPal, who are you going to nominate? And then at the end of it, we are going to decide on who we collectively think is going to be the most improved.
Yeah, Brett. I mean, Justin Fields. I mean, that was a good prediction. I mean, we saw how good he was by the end of the season and kind of solidifying like he is our quarterback for the future. But my guy and all these awards, I had so many names written down because there's a lot of people that improved from the beginning of the season that were rookies and then improved at the end of the year. But I know I kind of like seeing from last year and now improved into this year. So my nominee I have is Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet, Brad. I know some people are not huge fans of, but I think Cole Kmet had a fantastic year, especially after last year having 0 touchdowns recorded and
Yeah.
just didn't have that connection with Justin Fields. Like we were all waiting for it and it just never seemed to happen. And now we saw him get, a 2 touchdown game. We saw him get multiple 1 touchdown games. And multiple receptions, not just one or two. He got 4 or 5 receptions. So Cole Kmet, I mean, round of applause. I think he was always a good blocker, but I think he even improved as a blocker. And he's that like versatile like tight end that we finally been asking for. And I think his stats would be a lot better if we were more of a passing team. Unfortunately, he did not have any receivers and around him, and we didn't pass very much. So Cole Kmet is my nominee.
I like that. That was actually one of the ones I was going to bring out as someone who should be nominated for most improved, because he's looked like, to all the points that you made, he's looked great. And he really, I know for me last year, I didn't think that he was going to be a tight end one, right? Like right
Oh
now, it
yeah.
feels like this guy is a starter. We feel good about him. And so for me, most improved, I'm going to nominate Justin Fields just because every single week he's gotten better. He's gotten
Mhm.
better and better and better every single week. And I think that's so huge. It's an easy thing to do, and that's why I'm going to nominate a second person, because Justin Fields has to be nominated for what he did. But I'm going over to the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to nominate Eddie Jackson, because
Yes.
Eddie Jackson, thank you. Eddie Jackson looked amazing, and he's also vital. He was vital to what Jaquan Brisker was able to do this year. And that's why I'm nominating Eddie Jackson and Justin Fields. Hey, pal, do you have any other people that you would nominate
Hey,
for this? There's so many.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can add another one if we really want. I mean, I think of Tevin Jenkins if we
Yep.
want to add another one in there. I mean, the guy that didn't really play at all last year, had back surgery, and then comes out in the season looking like an absolute bust, and then comes in at right guard, and then we're like, wow, he's one of the best guards you know in the NFL. So I think Tevin Jenkins is another guy. I mean, I had 2 honorable mentions if we want to bring those up now. I
Yeah.
had Velus Jones, and I also had Kyler Gordon as another one.
I knew you would.
Um,
That's why I put 2021 to 2022.
Because yeah, I mean, I love looking at the rookies and like how they've improved. I mean, Velus, we were so like angry at him in the beginning of the year with all the turnovers, and then finally it seemed like he kind of found himself and was confident when he was catching the ball with the special teams and receiving. And then Kyler Gordon, same thing, just looked terrible, and then really learned from all of his mistakes. And now was our quarterback one for the remaining games.
All right. So I'm excluding out those rookies because I feel like we all
Yeah.
feel good
Oh
about
yeah.
these four. And
Yep.
for those out there in the comments, let us know who you think the most improved player is. PayPal, are you leaning one way or the other?
I mean, that's the thing. We don't need Tevin Jenkins, I don't think. I mean, I think of he didn't play last year, so it's hard to say he improved because
That's
he didn't
true.
really play,
That's very true.
Um, I think I lean towards Kmet and Fields solely because they played most of the season, and Eddie Jackson. We well, that's the hard thing, Brad. Eddie Jackson also he was being this guy like, okay, he's getting paid now, and now he's just not trying. And then yeah, he helps Brisker, he helps just the whole defense play, and kind of protected that back end of the defense. So I don't know. Do you lean anyway? This
I
is tough, Brett.
I lean because I like what you said about Tevin Jenkins. I think that he was great, but I think I lean towards what I picked, where it's Eddie Jackson, and because I think Cole Kmet was good, but I lean towards Fields as well, because here's
Yeah.
someone who did not look good, literally defines your definition with getting better every single week. Um, but I'm hesitant to give it to him because we could give it to him for like every single award. And that's why
Exactly.
I lean towards Eddie Jackson, because he was literally last year, people were saying, cut him, trade him, just get him off the roster. And now we're like, this guy's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why I lean Eddie Jackson.
Yeah. I submit the vote. I mean,
All right.
fill it up and put in Eddie Jackson because I do agree. Justin Fields, he was Justin Fields, yeah, he wasn't like people were doubting him and saying he wasn't the, our guy, and he can't pass the ball. And people still say that he can't pass the ball, but we saw it this year of his development and throwing down the field and the checkdowns. He actually kind of went through everything a little bit quicker, but he can win any other award on this.
Yeah,
in this.
That's the
show.
thing too. I feel like with anything that we do, with our X factors, with anything like that, we never give it out to Justin Fields because he's the team. Like it's too easy to just say he wins every single award out here because he's incredible. And so Bam Bam Sam says, I don't know, Peterman did good. Hey, he improved. He did.
I'm glad Bam Bam said that. I forgot. I did have that in my notes. I said Peterman. I mean, boy, he was this guy that everyone known him as throwing pick sixes every throw. And then, I mean, he made Tim Boyle, look like an absolute joke.
They had to put Tim Boyle
Peterman
in.
was competent.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's go over to the Rookie of the Year award. So Rookie of the Year, the best rookie on the Chicago Bears from the 2022 draft class, could be undrafted. Just had to throw that in there. But my preseason guess was Jaquan Brisker. And for me, for nominating, I am going to nominate Braxton Jones, left tackle. To me, Braxton Jones was incredible. And I don't like to just put that he's a 5th round rookie. I got to. He's a 5th round rookie that he's getting national attention. It was awesome to read an article that was saying there's no question he's the left tackle of the future for the Chicago Bears. And that's incredible. And to get someone like that, I felt he played the most consistent and literally did not miss a snap for the Chicago Bears. That's something to be said. That's why he's my nomination. We're getting some nominations in the comments for Brisker, for Sanborn. PayPal, who are you nominating for Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, Brett, I think we can all agree on 3 players. I mean, and Pro Football Focus can agree on 3 players, but I'll nominate one. I'll do Brisker. I mean, Brisker is one of those guys. He looked great from the get-go. I mean, in preseason, he was already creating turnovers. He was deflecting balls. He was a aggressive player. And, like we just said with our most improved player, Eddie Jackson, he almost had that Eddie Jackson type of feel when he just came into the league, where he just was ball hawking. He had no fear of doing anything. He was so aggressive. So Brisker, I mean, when our defense was bad too, he was the one guy that I felt like we always kind of counted, like he's the person that has to step up on this team because no one else is going to step up. I mean, it was when Sanborn, like no one else is going to step up Brisker. So as a rookie, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And like you said, I saw that 3 rookies for the Bears made the all rookie team for PFF, which was great. Sanborn, Brisker, and Braxton Jones. Absolutely incredible. So I also think too, out in the comments, we're getting Sanborn, we're getting Brisker. So no Kyler Gordon love, no Dominique Robinson love. And Bayless, like you said, turned it on later on. But PayPal, what way are you feeling? And everyone in the comments, what way are they feeling as well?
Hey, I mean, I'm leaning towards Braxton Jones, and he was gonna be my nominee too, actually, Brad. Like, it's not one of the sexy picks, but he was out there for every snap. He had, I think people underrate like the tough he had one of the hardest schedules I feel for offensive linemen coming into the league. Like he was facing like the Bosa, he was facing Nick Bosa, he was facing like just all these top tier ends, and like he would shut them down or like only allow them for like a few 1 or 2 pressure, like, which is incredible for a rookie that was drafted in the 5th round. So yeah, it's amazing saying we have a tackle that's going to be on this team for a while and we're paying him nothing. So I think Braxton Jones.
Yeah, and J-Rock is giving Gordon some love. He thinks that he had a better year than Brisker. And When you look later on in the year, I think that they had opposite years where Brisker looked really good in the beginning, actually, because he missed some tackles, but then looked really good and then kind of faded. And I think like Gordon was kind of the opposite. Gordon looked good at the end, but not so good in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see where J-Rock's coming with that. And I think overall, I think we got to give it to Braxton Jones because we love Jack Sanborn on this show. And I think because of the not missing a snap, like that is so key because you had good production for a lot of your rookies, but that whole not missing a snap, I think that's it. So PayPal, do you agree? Should I send it?
I agree. I agree. Send it.
All right, we're sending it. Rookie of the year, Braxton Jones. Congratulations, Mr. Jones. Also, Bears Bones commented something. BJ and JB for Jaquan Brisker, Braxton Jones. Did not know that, but very good catch. So we are going to the next the next award, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, same here, Brad.
So it is the Brent Urban Award. And for those that can't see, it is an electric guitar because every single time he would get a tackle, every single time he'd get a sack, he would make a big play. But before this, Don Burr, everyone's favorite Lions fan, has joined the chat. And I agree with Bam Bam Sam in the comments. Respect. Go Detroit. Yes. Thank you for taking out the Green Bay Packers. Let's all give Detroit a round of applause for getting the Packers out. Respect.
Yes.
But the Brent Urban Award is the most under the radar award given to the player that seems to come up with a big play that you don't really expect to. Remember Brent Urban, how he would just make a sack. He would make a defensive stop. So for me in the preseason, I nominated Armon Watts as kind of a 3 technique. It's not a terrible one, but PayPal, who are you going to nominate? And also people in the comments, who are you nominating for someone that seems to go under the radar and always comes up with a big play?
Hey, this one, Brad, I when I thought about this one, I was like, this guy is really under the radar. I almost forgot about him. And that is Kari Blasingame or Blasingame, whatever.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I forget about him, I forget that we have a fullback. But you saw when he was in, like our running game would be electric. There was a stat way back, I forgot what it was exactly, but it's just when he was in the game, we would average like 6 yards per carry, or it was something crazy. And Kari Blasingame was just one of those guys. You forget about him, but when he is in, it seemed like our offense would do something well, and really just kind of made the defense kind of quiver a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, it's a fullback. No one uses fullbacks anymore. And he was fast. You could use him as a receiver. You could use him amazing the running game and around. Great player. And yeah,
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's the great spirit of Brent Urban.
Yes.
But then let's see. I'm thinking maybe like Armon Watts still wasn't a bad guess, right? Because he literally shows up for a play and then he sucks for the rest of the game. He'll do one big play, but I kind of don't want to go with the D tackle, even though it's in the spirit of the Brent Urban Award. I don't know if this is too high profile, but I'm going with Khalil Herbert because he's technically the backup running back. And every time he's in, he just gets 7 yards. He gets the 10-yard game. And he's just incredible when it comes to that. Not a starter, though. Bam Bam Sam saying Harry. Michael saying maybe Ejax before he got hurt, like that one. But yeah, same like Bam Bam Sam saying Harry didn't get a lot of reps. I'm trying to think of anybody else that like kind of comes in. I was thinking Elijah Hicks, but maybe not so much. Michael's also saying Brisker in the first half, Gordon second.
Yeah, it seemed like Dominique Robinson was almost like when he was starting to be like that. Like, coming for pass rush, and then he would get a sack, and it's like,
and then nobody did anything.
Yeah, and I just remember in the beginning of the year just being like, why didn't we play him more? And then it's like he would get more playing time, and it's like, okay, that's why. I mean, Justin Jones is like someone too, always makes a big play, but then just will stop. But I think he's too high profile.
I
Um,
I'll say this, and also Bears Bones saying Jack Sanborn did a great job. Yeah, that's a very good one too. We're literally talking about flying under the radar. Even though I did look back, I had him as right after we picked him up, saying that he's going to be the starting Sam. I mean,
mhm.
technically he wasn't, but ends up going beast mode. I love your Kari Blasingame.
Thank you,
I
Brad. Thank you.
I think that's perfect because he's so under the radar.
He's a fullback.
He is a fullback. So I'm gonna submit it if that's fine with you.
Hey,
I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, that was the one I like thought of, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna write this down immediately." Like I think it fit perfectly. And usually, yeah, I think a D tackle too, but I think it's
I
a nice change of pace because I think we did have a D tackle last year, um, if I am mistaken. But
I love that. So Brent Urban Award, Kari Blasingame or Blasingame if you want to say it that way. But let's go to
oh
probably
gosh,
we gotta take things down a notch. All this
yes,
positivity, we gotta go with the Cody Parkey Award, which is for those that can't see, it's a shiny pile of crap.
yeah.
So kind of sums it up. The Cody Parkey Award is given to the most disappointing player of the 2022 season. So we're getting a little pessimistic. We're getting disappointed here. And
Hey,
PayPal,
also, I like to think of it as the Kevin White Award too. I
Kevin White's
mean,
also a good one too.
yes.
I think I made it because of just you still always remember the double doink, right? Like the
Oh
most
yeah.
disappointing player. I am going to nominate Lucas Patrick because
Good one.
to me, Lucas Patrick comes in with a 2-year deal, and it's here's the guy from the Green Bay Packers. He's going to be the starter. He's going to like everybody's hyped up about him, and he sucks. Like, and he was so bad at the guard spot, terrible. And
Mhm.
we like when he was gone, we were so much better, and we still don't know how good he's going to be at the center position because he was there and looked good for like the 10 snaps that he took before getting out for the entire season. And it was just really, really disappointing because it was just a really sad situation because he was going to be the center. It was like, we got a center. This is going to be great. So long, Musty. And then
Yes.
Musty comes in and he's like, I'll be taking that job. And
It's
and Lucas
like,
Patrick was bad. So that's my first nomination. There might be a handful of nominees for
oh,
this.
yeah, yes, Brad. I mean, I think this is the one I was thinking. I'm like, we think of all the good players for all the other, and then we think of like basically the rest of the team for this award. I mean, I have a a whole list of people, and it was pretty tough to pick mine. Um, my first nominee is Ebner. I trust in
Ooh,
Ebner. I just I think this could be a personal pick, but I personally thought Ebner was gonna be this like highlight worthy guy, kind of like a Tariq Cohen kind of fill-in type of guy, where we use him in the running game, we use him in the return game, and he was just gonna be so explosive. He was gonna look electric. Even in when we watched him in the training camp, he looked fast. And then we see him on TV, we see him in an NFL game, and it was embarrassing. Like it was embarrassing how bad he was. Another guy, I almost forgot he was on this team just because I think they kind of count him out and kind of like, all right, we're kind of done with him too, because he looked awful. So from the speedy guy to just completely awful, I was very disappointed.
yeah. And there's a lot of
Yes.
really good ones in the comments going right now that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. I forgot this. Musty's got the high ground on Patrick, as Bam Bam Sam said. I like J Rock saying Valus seems very similar to like what you were saying. The funny thing, this might win it, is literally every single wide receiver we had expectations for
Oh yeah.
was disappointed because we have We have Bears Bones saying N'Keal Harry. We have J-Rock saying Bayless. Bam Bam Sam's agreeing with Bayless. Also, Bam Bam said Chase Claypool and also
Pretty cool.
Jalen Johnson. So it's like every wide receiver we had expectations for. Claypool, Harry, Bayless, Byron Pringle.
Yeah.
All 4 of those sucked except Bayless at the very end, but he only got like 1 catch. And then the people that we didn't want to do well, Dante Pettis and Dante Pettis and also EQ, they were the only ones that were like consistent. And even you could say Darnell Mooney, we were expecting huge things out of him. Huge things. And he didn't do that great out there. I'm kind of leaning towards that because no other offensive linemen come to mind. Like we already knew Musty was going to disappoint us. Trevis Gibson comes to mind a little bit just because I was expecting double-digit sacks and he just laid an egg on that.
Yeah, he was supposed to be kind of that starter now, and then he didn't prove anything. He still proved that he was a backup. I wrote down all the receivers. Gibson. I have Morrow on there. Morrow was another one of those guys. Personally, for me, I was really excited for because I remember our podcast last year talking with the Raiders guys, and they really liked Morrow because his speed and his aggressiveness, and both of those almost were his negatives. Like he was too aggressive, and he was just too light and fast. He had to gain some weight. Yeah, Claypool. Lucas Patrick. I had Cruikshank on there too. I mean, because he's injured, I was maybe hoping to see him more like as a backup. And these my last 2. I had Al-Qadim Muhammad and Larry Borum. I mean,
really,
Al-Qadim Muhammad. I think Muhammad. I mean, he was supposed to be that starter, and he ended up not playing for the rest of the year. And same with Larry Borum. I think he just losing his starting spot at the end of the year kind of was disappointing for me, but I don't think it's really nominee worthy.
Yeah, this entire group, like what Bam Bam Sam's saying, it's so sad. That's how many people we included in this. I know my vote. Personally, my vote, especially because I'm seeing all the comments too. Is it fair for us to say every receiver we had expectations for?
I think
should that not count?
I don't think that can count. I think we got to choose one. And
okay.
And personally for me, I know people are saying Bayless, but at least we saw like him growing near the end of the season rather than just we tried him and then he was just terrible. And we're like, okay, that was a waste of a 2nd round pick. We saw promise for him near the end of the year. So I personally am very anti Bayless just because of that reason. I mean, we saw all these other guys like Gibson. We saw, Claypool did nothing. He did nothing.
Are you leaning Claypool then? Otherwise, I like Patrick just because.
Yeah, I think Patrick is perfect.
Yeah, so we can do Lucas Patrick because.
You said
receivers were just so hard. Like that's sifting through the crap. That's really like, but Lucas Patrick, I feel too, because like I think with Bayless, it's a lot of like personal expectations of the 3rd round rookie, right?
Yeah.
And then I think too, like I think as well, like you go to Claypool, he showed some flashes. You have the 2nd pick. Yeah, let Lucas Patrick.
Yes, I think. You said it perfectly. I think Lucas Patrick is.
We'll lock it in.
Yep.
Because he's the only one that N'Keal Harry we took a shot at, he failed. Pringle we took a shot at, he failed. But Lucas Patrick, it's like we still don't know how bad he is or if he's good.
And we really and we paid him too. Like I feel like these people are at the end of their careers, or not end of their careers, but it's like they were disappointing already. Lucas Patrick was doing really well for the Packers and then just didn't do anything.
And I forgot to say too, who I had in the preseason. this is where it was a miss. I had Khalil Herbert
That's
because
funny.
if you remember in the preseason, Khalil Herbert looked bad. Khalil Herbert
He
like
did.
couldn't get over 4 yards a carry. He looked really bad. It was the new offense. And I remember we were talking about Khalil Herbert or Tevin Jenkins. And boy, was that wrong because Tevin Jenkins, it's like, why does the coaching staff hate him? And now they're like, yeah, we like Tevin. Tevin's really good at guard. It's like, yeah, he is. He's
Yep.
really freaking good at guard. So let's go. So let's go forward. Let's go positive. And let's go over to the offensive MVP.
Ooh.
Offensive MVP. The trophy is a giant number 1 because we could just call this the Justin Fields trophy. Because is there like let's humor this because does anybody in their right mind think it's not Justin Fields? We saw what this offense does without Justin Fields. It's terrible, right? Like Justin Fields, I'm pretty sure we'll give it to him, right, PayPal?
Oh yeah, I completely and I mean we think we like the people we named before. I think like Braxton Jones and Cole Kmet. Those are both people that were very good and kind of those guys that were always out there. But Justin Fields, without him, the offense looks so boring. We weren't able, the only reason why we're able to score 30 plus points those like 4 weeks were because of him. I mean,
Yeah.
if it was any other quarterback that was not like insane like Justin Fields, we would be scoring, maybe a touchdown or two.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just so good. Oh my gosh. Michael totally in the comments totally brought up a good one for the most disappointing as well. When you think there wasn't another disappointing player, he brought up Alex Leatherwood. That's a really good one that we totally forgot about too. Because bring him in on his rookie deal. So yeah, when we thought we covered all the crap, there was still some hiding. Thanks for bringing that up. But let's go to offensive MVP. Like we said, Fields, easy. Other MVPs, I think it's difficult because Monty didn't seem to hold it down, right? Like Khalil Herbert was kind of out there. And yeah, you look at it, offense, there's really nothing.
Whitehair was one of those guys, he almost took a step down, and
yeah.
It's those 3 people in our offense, and that was it.
Yeah, and Kmet, like we said, Kmet was looking better. Darnell Mooney, nothing. It's sad to say, nothing crazy happened after he was down, which was kind of sad. I can't wait to see him back out there. But yeah, I think overall, this is easy. Let's go with it. Lock it in. Justin Fields, number 1, the offensive MVP. But now we go over to the other side. Defensive MVP. In the preseason, I nominated Roquan Smith because at that time they said that he wasn't going to be traded, but then they traded him. And also, we haven't talked about this at all. It made me so happy that he wasn't out there because I'm so glad we traded him because he got the highest paid salary. So great for him, but he's not worth $20 million.
Oh no.
And especially in the new system, he didn't look good in this new system. And we got Jack Sanborn. So we got that. But let's go to this defensive side of the ball. We're already getting some. We got Bojack out there. We got Jack Sanborn from J-Rock. We got some,
I think they got they got the nominees, man. I think the people are speaking the truth out here.
Because, I mean, this is the thing about this defense. This defense was not good, and the entire front 7 was bad, except for one boy, a bad man named Jack Sanborn out of Wisconsin coming out. But I think the other nominees, there's got to be, Bam Bam Sam saying, either one of the Jacks. It kind of has to be because Jalen Johnson, he wasn't super, super impressive. He was banged up majority of the year. Eddie Jackson played phenomenally, got a bunch of interceptions. I mean, Brisker played well, but I think when you look at what Jack Sanborn was able to do where I posted this on Twitter when we had when Roquan Smith was out there, we were averaging 4.99 yards a carry, or the opposing offense was averaging 4.99 yards a carry. But then when Jack Sanborn started, they were averaging 4.12 yards a carry. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely insane when he came out there. But Bojack was phenomenal. PayPal, do you have anyone to nominate? Renewable Sam Blackwell. We got that game on tape.
Yeah, hey, I do love me some Blackwell. Hey, he could be winning another award. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think the two, like I was even kind of looking at Brisker, like just because he had more playing time than Eddie Jackson, but I don't think Brisker had that like insane difference in the game. Like I think of Sanborn, like you just said, like Sanborn, you could tell when he was out there, like the defense looked completely different when he was out there. And maybe it is like a recency thing, but it's hard for me to remember how it was when Eddie Jackson was on the field for us. I mean, I remember him playing probably one of the best seasons he's had in a couple of years. With he had 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. So Eddie Jackson had a heck of a year, and honestly, he would have made it to the Pro Bowl if he did not get injured.
That's a good point.
I think and that's what's hard for me is I'm in love with both of these Jacks. Because Jack Sanborn, you're completely correct. I mean, and it could be because we have the drop off at linebacker, but without Sanborn, our defense was just it was like we need something out there. Wow. With Eddie Jackson not out there, it was like, okay, at least we have like DHC, or we have someone that can do somewhat a good of a job,
True. Part of me is tempted to give it to like Brisker because of like, just so that we don't potentially repeat awards. And Brisker had 4 sacks. He led the team in sacks.
Yeah.
Which was impressive.
Honestly, Sanborn was probably right up there too. I mean, I think Brisker, Brisker or Sanborn now, honestly, Brad, both the rookies. I mean, it could be this is you can make the decision if you want.
I'll let you decide. I can't make a decision on this. I
think the way that we and I don't like, having someone win an award again. So I think, no Eddie Jackson. So I think we do Brisker. Brad. Yeah.
I think it's going to be
Sanborn.
It's going to be if Sanborn doesn't win our favorite player, I will drive over to your house and beat you with a shoe.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
All right, so we'll go Jaquan Brisker for the sake of not repeating an award, and also this was really difficult for us to even come up with. So Jaquan Brisker will be the defensive MVP because of it. And Bears Bones saying Jack Sanborn as well. And I think Jack Sanborn, it's difficult because of the sample size. So
yeah.
But let's go over to our favorite player of the show. The favorite for Unbearable Sports, the preseason pick was Jack Sanborn.
Yep.
The nominee right now is Jack Sanborn. It's everything. Whenever he makes a play, I watch games with you and we freak out. We get excited. We get hyped. It's got to be Jack Sanborn. Like that.
Yeah.
That's just how I'm feeling. PayPal, do you have any objections?
I do not. I have other nominees I would like to maybe speak on. Honorable mentions, so to speak. But Jack Sanborn is one of those guys. I think too, for us, because it's like we are from Wisconsin. How can it not be our favorite? I mean, we all knew he was. He looked incredible in preseason, and we were just rooting for him from the start. And then he got his time to shine. like how I love that. And there's other people like I had Brisker on there. I mean, I had Brisker on
Yeah,
there just
that's a good
because
one.
he was so fun. He's one of those guys, and I think it speaks so much for the favorite the favorite player is when they make a play, you're just like screaming,
Yeah.
when they make a play. You're just so happy when they make one out, and you make sure everyone knows that they made a play in the room. And Brisker was one of those guys. Velas was kind of one of those guys. I know that's a hot topic, but when Velas was out there, I feel like we would all stop talking in the room. At
Yeah.
least when we'd watch the game, we'd all stop talking and watch him. Even if it was a kick return, even if it was just on offense and he was just blocking. It was like,
Yeah.
we'll watch Velas,
Yeah, I like that. And also, too, everyone watching live or later on in the comments on YouTube, who's one of your favorite players? I'm just kind of curious. Doesn't have to be an official nominee, but someone that you cheer just extra for. And also, I totally realized I didn't change the text for
Yeah.
the for the award. So it says most under the radar player. But no, it's the favorite player of the show. Or just like your favorite player that you're watching. One that I am surprised that I like so much is I really love cheering for Khalil Herbert. Every time he
Yeah.
gets the ball, I just yell Khalil because I'm just so excited because he's so good and he's just so much fun to watch with it. So
Hmm.
that's the reason why I really like it out there. I like enjoying that. I love seeing what he's capable of. And I think part of it is because I want him to be the guy because I think
Oh,
that he
yeah.
deserves a shot. And that's why I really want to see him do well. And that's my feeling. But
Yeah, that's
we're
how
getting
you were
some
with
moon.
Gibson last year, I felt. He
Yeah.
was like your guy to be like, "Hey, like I love when he makes a play because I want him to be the guy." And that's how I am for Velas. That's how I was for for Sandmore Brisker. It's like you root for those guys. You're like, you just want them to make it. I mean, they're all rookies too. It's like they're fun to see their progress. And I mean, I have three
Oh,
other kind
wow.
of nominees that
Go
I like
ahead.
the Bears. I like the Bears,
Yeah.
Fred.
Yeah.
I mean, I had DeMarquise Gates out there. I when I heard that he was playing like last week, I was so excited. I was really looking for him out there. And I mean, the OG, DHC, DeAndre Houston Carson is always going to make my list.
Yep.
I mean, he's kind of like that Sherrick McManus type of guy where he's just kind of always does his job, and I always respect him for that. And then Blackwell, it was
Yes.
Renewable mentioned him. Blackwell is one of those guys you just root for. You see his effort, and I think that's what really makes you be like, wow, like you want to root for him.
The
You
swag
see it on
too.
special teams,
Yeah.
the swag. You see it on defense. You see he's a team player, and you root for those guys.
I love that. I really, really like that. And Blackwell, yeah, you can't help but root for him a little bit more. I also really like Braxton Jones. He's an offensive
Yeah.
lineman, but I really like him just because everybody says he's just one of the nicest guys in the locker room, just a class act. And you can't
Yeah.
help but root for him, especially being that 5th round pick and what he's able to accomplish. Komet, even, I'm just going to give him honorable mention just because I I never have been a Komet fan, and this year I really started to warm up to him because of what he's able to accomplish, and just his role on this offense. It's something to really kind of bring up and just
Yeah.
admire. But there was no question. It's Jack Sanborn is the favorite player of the show. That was a pretty easy one right there. But
Yeah.
that's our awards. But PayPal, I have one more, and I don't have a graphic for this, but I remember you made this up last year. It was Mr. Winter, the person
Oh,
that came
yeah.
alive in the winter, the person who was the best at the later rounds. And I think my nominee, and I think it's actually pretty simple. I think it's Kyler Gordon because
Oh,
Kyler
yeah.
Gordon just balled out at the end of the year, getting 3 interceptions. Like, he was just incredible. And I think that's where, to me, this doesn't have to be official, but I'm just bringing him up as commending him for what he did at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think we can stamp that one in, Brett. And honestly, we can think of like, we could think of, Mr. Fall and kind of maybe someone that hates the cold, and kind of the opposite is Cairo Santos. But
Yeah.
but yeah, Valus Jones is kind of the one that kind of cups. Like he also
That's a good
kind of
one.
started to see him at the end of the year, but I think it's pretty easy. Like, yeah, renewable, perfect. He went from zero to hero. That's a perfect way to put him, because I think everyone was against him, and kind of he was the person to kind of finger point at and be like, why is he out there? He sucks. Like, get him off. Why?
Yeah.
Like, we wanted a good slot corner, and then we get this guy, and he proved it near the end.
Yeah. So that does it for the second annual Unbearable Sports Award Show. Thank you all so much for coming out. I still feel, I needed like an applause button or like something.
Yeah.
Maybe next year for the third annual, I'll go all out. We'll have some stuff. PayPal will actually be in a suit, so I'm not
Hey.
the only one out here.
Hey,
But,
yeah, you
yeah.
guys can compliment me. I mean, I got my collar up too,
it looks very nice.
Collar
It looks
pop.
very
Yeah.
nice. So also Bears got a new president. A lot of other people are going to be talking about it way more than we do. So listen to them when they break it down. Former president of the Big Ten, huge signing for the Bears. But that does it for our second annual award show. Thank you all so much. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, I forgot to even say our sponsor, BetUS.com. Use promo code UNBEARABLE for 125% back on your first deposit. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you